My opponent argues that schools K through 12 need to reduce homework hours in order to decrease the stress levels of the students. However, I do not agree with that argument. She argues, and I quote, that homework is one giant stressful situation for the kids, and that may be true to some extent. But I think that in order to reduce the stress levels, schools K through 12 need to ban test exams instead of giving students less homework hours. I believe that homework teaches students responsibility and discipline. Students start developing different skills at an early age. Less homework hours would only inhibit them from learning these responsibilities. When they grow up, students will constantly be bombarded with deadlines and important commitments, and I believe that homework teaches kids these necessary skills. The Huffington Post stated that just this week came a new report from the National School Board Association Center for Public Education saying that there is conclusive evidence that homework increases student achievement across the nation. Clearly, there is a correlation with homework and student achievements. The Huffington Post also stated that the study concluded that students who don't do their homework will not see any increase in their achievement in school. Also, students in the early grades who have not yet learned how to read are less likely to benefit from homework than those students that are in high school. If kids are not doing homework, they are not retaining the information that they learned that day. My opponent argues that repetition isn't always the answer. Being a psychology major, I have learned that in order for the memory to retain information and actually remember it, repetition is the key factor in this role. My opponent argues that students in the second grade should be given 10 to 15 minutes of homework per night. However, at this grade level, children's brains are still developing. Their memory needs to be trained and needs to develop in order for them to grow up with the simple skills that they need to be successful in their educational career. I am now going to define two different types of memory. Short-term memory includes what you focus on in the moment, what holds your attention. Most people can only hold about 7 items of information in short-term memory at any given moment. For example, a phone number. To learn information so that you can retain and recall it, you must transfer it from short-term to long-term memory. Long-term memory includes all the information that you know and can recall. In many ways, it becomes a part of you. Once information becomes a part of your long-term memory, you'll have access to it for a very long time. So if kids are not spending enough time on homework per night, the information that they learned that day will be stored in their short-term memory and be quickly forgotten. Repetition allows for the information to be stored into long-term memory. Bucks County Community College stated that without review, most information will be lost from memory. The best time to review materials is within a day or two after the material has been read or presented in lecture. Shortening homework hours would also harm the student's educational future. My opponent also argued that take-home assignments are unhelpful busy work. I, however, feel that a teacher would never give a student unhelpful work. The educational board system would never allow for a teacher to give student useless homework. The teacher clearly sees a point to the take-home assignments. In math, for example, it is necessary for a student to practice the material that they learn in class that day in order to correctly process the information. Lessening homework hours would just allow the students to easily forget the material. School is a place where students go to learn new subjects and engage in social activities. If the educational board were to reform homework hours, students would never have time to complete important essays or projects that they were assigned. This defeats the purpose of learning. My solution to educational reform would be not to give less homework hours, but to instead ban exams overall. I think that exams are the very true cause of stress in students in every grade level. The pressure of getting high test scores is very harsh upon students. According to The Atlantic, Finnish schools have no uniforms, no entrance exams, they still have homework per night, and kids address teachers by their first name. And yet, since 2000, Finland has topped pretty much every educational league system out there, ever. So clearly, taking away exams and giving students less homework is helping them so much that Finland is still ranked the number one educational system in the world. Students usually feel disappointed if they fail a test, which makes the student feel that they aren't smart or capable of learning. NEA.org states that the focus in Finland is on using the information to drive learning and problem solving rather than punishment. Finland maintains one exam prior to attending university, the matriculation exam, which is organized and evaluated by a matriculation exam board member by the Finnish Ministry of Education, although not required for graduation or entry. So it's pretty much optional to take the exam. So students in Finland don't have to deal with the constant pressures of being tested every couple of weeks. Instead, they get certain hours of homework per night. If that system is working so well for them, I don't see why our educational system in the United States shouldn't apply and adapt to these guidelines. Diane Ravish, a historian and NYU professor, stated, "Consider where the anti-homework crusade will take us. To a time when students read no books, write no essays, and complete no research projects other than whatever can be fit into the school day hours. Lessening homework hours would only produce a generation of lazy students who have no real knowledge on responsibilities and discipline. They would not understand the importance of retaining information, and they would develop poor study habits as they grow up, which would harm their chances into getting into any real colleges. If our main focus is to reduce stress among students, taking away test exams is clearly a better solution than reducing homework hours. Homework is important. Homework helps you retain the information that you learned. What is the point in going to school then if you're not going to remember what you learned? Giving no exams and lessening homework hours is again my solution. Thank you.